What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course. There's almost no wind, and because it's so calm, I had to jump at the opportunity because we're throwing the Vanish against the Shift. The Vanish is the 11 speed, -3.2. The Shift is a 9 speed, -3.1. And I think I'm coming to the realization that while the Vanish is amazing, I have to throw it at a certain speed threshold for it to turn. The 9 speed, a little bit easier to make it turn. So we're going to pair the Vanish against the Shift and see which one of these I should really be leaning into in my bag. Because the Vanish has been in there for longer, we're going to go ahead and start with the Vanish. We're at the short pad for 12, a little bit of a tailwind, whatever wind there happens to be, and I really only feel it because I'm in the shade. In the sun, you really don't feel much. We're going to go ahead and throw these hyzer flip to drift shots. I don't want them to turn all the way over. I still want them to have enough stability to come back at the end. It didn't drift. It flipped up and then it kind of moved a little bit, but it basically just stayed straight the whole time. See what the Shift does. There's the drift. Still comes back at the end. Yeah. I think that because it's a 9 speed and because it doesn't have the extra fit, well, I mean, the wider a rim driver you're going to make, the more left to right or right to left movement you're going to get. The weird thing is I'm getting a lot more consistent fade out of the Vanish, but I'm getting a lot more consistent turn out of the Shift, which is where the conundrum is coming from. Long pad for hole 9. There is a little bit more breeze out here. We're closer to the street, so that's probably why. And a little arm of the lake runs up here, so we're getting some lake wind as well. The Shift won the last hole because it actually drifted. We're gonna throw hyzer flip to turn shots at the tree line on the left, and Shift is going to lead us off. There is a little bit more wind than there was on the last one. The Vanish is amazing. But that was into a headwind and it didn't even drift. Well, it drifted a little bit. It turned a tiny, tiny bit. I was using this slot as I need to throw a backhand for distance purposes, but I basically need a forehand shot. But the Vanish sometimes just doesn't turn over, which is why I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards the Shift, and the Shift would be a great roller, great scramble disc for super flippy options. It would actually give me some flip up and then turn. That the Vanish, it's kind of 50-50 whether it flips over or not. They're tied up 1-on-1. We're going to try to add a little bit more power, and the wind that was a headwind is now slightly on the tail. Oh, it's picking up. So the question is, will the Vanish flip, and will the Shift be controllable? want it to turn more. Oh boy. And not that flippy. I think we called points a wash on this hole because I did mess up the throw on the shift. So tied up onto the next tee pad, and that tee pad being 13. We're gonna throw 15's basket from 13's tee pad. It's gonna be a really long, drifty panning shot. So can the Vanish hold over for long enough? Can I get the shift all the way there? Might have gone in the back side of the green. See if we can control the shift a little more. I don't throw this shot normally. If I was actually trying to throw this shot, I think I'd go flex forehand. But that's neither here nor there. Vanish held a lot longer than I expected it would. Also threw it pretty flat. This is really confusing. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the tee of 18. I'm gonna throw both the Vanish and the shift. And we're gonna see which one turns more. And based off of how they turn and how much they turn, I think that'll decide that'll make up my mind and decide for me. Because if we throw this and the Vanish doesn't flip up and turn over and drift, I know that the shift does that. The Vanish doesn't do that every time. So we're gonna try, give it one more shot, and if it doesn't drift, or if it doesn't drift very much and still fades out a pretty good amount, shift is gonna win out. Not because the Vanish is a bad disc. Vanish is a great disc. Honestly, for me, what the Vanish was working as was kind of flippy trail. And I do like how the Proton feels better than the Neutron. So Proton Vanish versus Neutron Trail. But the trail flipped every single time I threw it. The Vanish doesn't flip every time I throw it. I think it's more of the reliability for me. I'm heavily leaning towards the shift right now. As we're walking up to 18, I do feel a little bit more of a headwind. So that'll be interesting. But we'll see what happens. Vanish still has the box. This battle kind of devolved into not really a battle because I was throwing both discs, just not very well. So yeah, a little bit more of a headwind. We're gonna throw the shot basically towards the left side or the right side of this little left tree area. If we throw that shot and then it drifts, it'll be perfect. If we throw that shot and it doesn't drift, we might lose the disc. There may be more headwind than I gave it. Oh boy. Yeah, there was a gust. That's why it flipped that much. Because I threw that on a pretty decent amount of hyzer. And it flipped very fast. Let's see if we can get the shift to be a little bit more controllable. I'm watching the towel that's hanging from my tripod, hoping that it will fall just and hang straight down, which means there is no wind. There is still wind. I think the shift is going to be it for me. Unless I throw it on just absurd amount of hyzer, it's always going to flip up and over, and I can throw it soft and get a very, very straight, long pushing, easy to throw straight shot. The Vanish has the upper end requirements needed, but it doesn't really have that slightly lower end requirement. Because it's an 11 speed, you still kind of have to throw it, and you can't just kind of whip your arm and barely put any effort into it and still get max distance. However, with the shift, I think the softer I throw it, the further it's gonna go. It's one of those types of discs. Hopefully you guys are enjoying content like this. If so, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff though, if you have any discs that you think might be a good pair up against the shift, make sure to comment all those down below. Shift is going in my bag. I think the Vanish is coming out of the bag, but hopefully I'll be able to get you guys a kind of quarterly in the bag soon, and you'll be able to see what I'm currently working with. Please make sure you're subscribing. Until next time, see you out on the course.